to welcome you all today's panel discussion on the topic that resonates deeply with the challenges and opportunities of our times. So, the role of learning and development in crisis management and business continuity. That's the topic for today. So, in the era of defined, they are defined by a rapid change and unfold seeing challenges, organizations face an ever-growing need to adapt, innovate, and thrive amidst uncertainty, whether navigating through global disruptions, industry shifts, or localized challenges, the ability to manage crisis while ensuring business continuity has become a cornerstone for success. This is where learning and development steps in, not just a support function, but as a transformative force. Today, we delve into pivotal role that L&D plays in. So, equipping teams with the knowledge, tools, and resilience to handle crisis effectively, embedding agility into organizational framework, empowering employees to act with confidence, creativity, and decisiveness in uncertain times. This discussion is an opportunity to gain insights from some of the most accomplished leaders in the field, individuals who have demonstrated the power of strategy, L&D to turn challenges into opportunities. Without any further ado, let me introduce our esteemed moderator and our distinguished panel members. Each of them brings a wealth of experience and unique perspective that will enrich today's conversation. So let me introduce our first panelist, Megha Trivevi. Hi, Megha. So, with over a decade of experience in soft skill, with over a decade of experience in soft skill and behavioral training, facilitation, and counseling, Megha has developed expertise across industries such as education, BFSI, corporate NGOs, healthcare, and shipping and logistics. Her passion lies in empowering individuals and organizations through strategy learning and development. Megha is at par at coaching, mentoring, and crafting comprehensive L&D strategies. She excels across the training life cycles from need and analysis and program designs to delivery and evaluation. With expertise in data management, learning management, and leadership development, she creates programs that drives measurable impacts. As a certified NLP practitioner, certified learning and development manager, and a POSH certified professional, Megha brings a blend of technical knowledge and commitment to fostering inclusivity and growth. Her mission is to design meaningful learning experiences that inspires personal and professional excellence. Welcome, Megha.
Thank you so much.
We have our second panelist, Joy. Hi, Joy. As the group head of human resources at ILNFS Group, Joy Banerjee oversees the HR and administration functions for a group navigating a complex resolution journey involving company sellouts and asset monetization. He collaborates closely with the leadership team to align employee relationship, compliance, leadership development, compensation, benchmarking, and talent management with the organization's strategic goal. With over 30 years of diverse experience, Joy has on his expertise in HR operations, strategy learning and development, employee engagement, performance management. His career spans leadership roles with industries such as Liberty Mutual, Tata AIG Life Insurance, Aviva Life Insurance, and LIC of India, alongside Blue Dart DHL. Joy has managed cross-cultural team and project across India, South India, East Asia, Europe, China, Russia, Turkey, and USA. A certified coach by SMG Singapore and LMS of Executive HR Program from SHRM and XLRI Jamshedpur, Joy is passionate about fostering inclusive workspace culture that drives innovation and collaboration. His mission is to empower employees with cutting edge learning tools, ensuring they achieve their potential and contribute to the organizational success while upholding the highest ethical and professional standards. Welcome, Joy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let me introduce our third panelist. Hi, Shiv.
Hi.
Shiv Kumar, a talent development leader at VVDN Technologies, bring over 2 decades of diverse experience span learning and development and software development. The past 8 years, Shiv has led L&D function in large organization with $100 million in revenue, thousands of employees, driving impactful learning initiative tailored to their scale and complexity. With a strong foundation in software development gained over 9 years, Shiv possesses a unique blend of technical expertise and talent and development acumen. This combination enables him to design and deliver a program that aligns closely with business objectives while meeting the evolving needs of the learners. Shiv is committed to creating learning strategies not only foster individual growth but also deliver measurable results for organizations. His leadership in L&D reflects his passion for empowering teams and enabling business to thrive in dynamic environments. Welcome, Shiv.
Thank you so much.
And the most important person of today's discussion, our moderator, without which the session would move ahead an inch also. So welcome, Neha Jain. Hi, Neha.
Hi, Toril. Hi, everybody.
Let me introduce our esteemed moderator for today, Neha Jain. She is a distinguished HR leader with over 13 years of experience in human resource management, currently serving Chief Human Resource Officer at Choice International Limited. Neha has been instrumental in transforming HR into people-centric and goal-driven functions. Her innovative strategy seamlessly aligns business growth with employee development, fostering a culture of excellence and inclusivity with master in HR from Bangalore. Neha has began her career in 2012 and a lifelong journey. Neha currently enhances her expertise throughout a program at IIM Calcutta and passionate about connecting with people, empowering them to achieve their full potential. She views HR as a part of any thriving organization. Neha approaches blend a deep understanding of human dynamics with structured process, ensuring sustainable and impactful result. So let us welcome all our panelists and our moderator. And without any further ado, I'll hand over Neha to kick off the sessions. Great to have you all online and let's enjoy the enlightening event together. Over to you, Neha.
All right. Thank you so much, Toril. That was a very nice introduction for all of us. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome you all to the session. So without taking much of time, let me just move to the first segment of today's discussion, which is into building resilience through learning and development. So my first question would be to Megha. So the question would be, what key skills and behaviors do you think are essential for building resilience in employees? And how does L&D contribute to this? You're on mute.
Megha, you're on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Neha. So I would begin with this that resilience, often spoken about, is actually built on a foundation of adaptability, emotional intelligence, problem solving, and effective communication. So these are not standalone skills. They work together to help individuals navigate change and uncertainty with confidence. In my experience, adaptability is one of the most important skills to foster. I often create learning programs where employees are exposed to scenarios that challenge their usual ways of thinking, pushing them to experiment and think on their feet. Um, for example, I have designed workshops that simulate unexpected disruptions, encouraging participants to explore multiple solutions and embrace the idea of failing forward. And also, I believe L&D's role is to create a culture where resilience becomes second in nature. It's about giving employees the tools to not only respond to challenges, but also proactively prepare for them. So, through my programs that also focus on mindset shifts, collaboration, and self awareness, we as L&D empower individuals to stay grounded and perform under pressure. I believe resilience starts at an individual level, but when nurtured well, it becomes an organizational strength.
Thank you so much for the wonderful insight, Megha. So, my second question would be to Shiv. So, Shiv, how can L&D help leaders and teams remain calm and focused during high pressure situations?
Yeah. So Mega highlighted quite a bit of what L&D can do, right? So broadly speaking, I mean there are two aspects to focus on. One is how do we equip the individual, right, to manage himself or herself better, and second is how do we manage enable them and enable them to work as a team, right, in crisis situations. So for individuals, definitely resilience in some way, emotional intelligence. These are things which are crucial, and one session won't do, but a series of sessions for them to build better awareness about themselves would go a long way to manage difficult situations. On top of it, yes, during every crisis, normally if it's a decent organization, you will have well-defined procedures and processes in place. It's important that during crisis you remember these processes, right? So we need training simulations which enable teams to look at these processes and practice them as much as possible, so that when the real life situation comes, they are ready and it's all muscle memory and they perform well, right? So broadly, I think these are two areas we need to focus on, and it will take a bunch of classroom trainings and simulations, some focused discussions, and also time for them to have written exercises, to organize their thoughts. I think these would help.
All right. Thank you, Shiv. So the last question of this particular segment would go to Joy. So Joy, what role does emotional intelligence play in resilience training, and how do you incorporate it into L&D programs?
So see, before I answer that question, I would like to bring one important aspect that all of us are going through right now is whether it's going to be humans or whether it is going to be AI. So, everywhere the topic is on AI, and almost every aspect of our life is covered with AI. And in all respects, even in some conversations, it's coming up that AI would replace humans. So, to answer your question, we first need to understand this is the real life atmosphere that we live in. And in this real life atmosphere, what does one differentiate between an AI and human? I think while AI is there, the most important part is what created the AI, and that is the human intelligence, which is the HI. And in this human intelligence, I think what's most important to see is the skills that would be required as we go forward is fast evolving and changing. So I love the opening remarks that Megha made about resilience, and I think that's so important for us as humans. And the most important aspect of humans is because they have something in them called as agility, which made you survive all this while, and it will make you survive even in future. So where does all these things come from? So all these things are coming from nowhere but your emotional intelligence. So I think it's the question is not whether emotional intelligence is required. The question is how much are you applying that? In today's world where so many things are automated and so many things are easily available, the only differentiating factor would be how well you are equipped in terms of managing your own emotions as well as managing the emotional quotient for not only designing but also in terms of implementing. And when it goes wrong, because here we are talking about disruption, so when it goes wrong, how fast are you in terms of adapting yourself and changing it? And that's where the aspect of agility comes. So I think without any debates, emotional intelligence is something that is going to be the need of the hour, and that is going to make change. One thing that I would like to conclude with is the skills that we are talking about now is the focus is on power skills. So one of the power skill is to be curious. And where does that come from? That comes from your emotion.
Absolutely, yes. So that's how we say that experience speaks, and you certainly proved it. All right. So so that's the end of segment one. Moving on to the segment two, which is integrating crisis management into learning strategies. So now, so the first question goes to you, Joy, which is how do you incorporate crisis response scenarios into your L&D programs to prepare employees for unexpected challenges?
So I'll thread it up to what I started off in my opening remarks. And the thing is that we are in an atmosphere where things will be changing and evolving each day. So gone are those days when people used to say that, okay, I have skilled myself, I've made myself ready, and now I'm ready for at least next 1 year or 1.5 years or 2 years. Those days are gone. So it is like every day it is changing, and in fact, every hour it is changing. So the crisis is something depends upon is how do I see the crisis. For some people, crisis could be is that there is lack of resources, so I see crisis. For some, it could be is that there is a competition which I did not foresee, so that is a crisis. For some, it would be is that I was prepared for X and Y, but now I am facing A and B, so that is a crisis. So
Yeah.
the definition of crisis keeps on changing. But what's important to understand is if the fundamentals are correct, so any kind of situation or any kind of crisis can be addressed. So what is most important? So I think the main mantra out over here is how well are we equipped to respond rather than react. So see, so that's my big takeaway for all the people on the call is how well are you ready and how well are you adapting to respond rather than reacting. So many things are there where you don't need to react. You just need to respond. And if you have to respond, there is no hurry. In fact, sometimes people get so worked up that I have to do it. I have to do it now. I have to do it now. I have to no need, it's not required. Many a times it may not be required also to get so hypered up. So it's important that take a few breaths, take some air in and see that okay, this is where it is, and let's see what things can be amended, changed, or which does require a change, and then we do it. So I'll refer one wonderful book here, which I think should be in everybody's kit. I believe I'm a big book lover, so I believe books are our greatest friends. So Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow is the book that I would recommend in this particular situation, where it's a wonderful guide. Like, it gives us a lot of relevance to what's happening around us. It makes us realize that, what can be done. And most important, it is that, not every time or not every action needs my reaction. Sometimes it's okay. I can also accept. The problem that is happening is in today's world, most of the times people want to just react. Okay, if somebody has come or said something, I need to react. So it's not always required. Now, this is one aspect of it, but I want to add one more flavor to this. The other flavor to this is it doesn't happen of its own. So we as humans, we are social people. So how does it happen? So you have to nurture some other skills. So while you nurture some other skills, this skill of not reacting and then going into responding becomes your natural habit. So how does that happen? So it is a journey where you have to start from becoming a person who can accept things, and it can be done through various practices. So sometimes what happens is people will come and say that, hey Joy, what you did was of no use, this is all bakwas, right? So what is the immediate response that Joy will give? Who said? You know better than me. I can prove it that what you're saying is wrong. But then what has happened is you have opened up a spiral. So rather than that, if Joy would have said, "Oh wow, did you find something wrong in it? Can you just let me know what are the things that is wrong? What did what are the things that went wrong?" And then while you start making changes, I think that is where the conversation goes into a different angle altogether. I'll end my comment with that, simply just ask yourself, like all of us on the call, ask yourself. I'm sure we are living in an app world, and all these apps are constantly asking for your feedback. How many times have you given a feedback of 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10? You don't need to answer me, but answer yourself, and you will see that most of the times you have answered either a 8 if it is 10, or if it's a rating of 5, you must have given a 3 or a 4. You've never given a 5. Now, question that comes is why? The point is, whenever I'm asking a feedback, it's always a negative. But if I ask you, hey, can you tell me what did you like about today? And then what happens is the entire conversation is it's more towards conservation. It is not towards destruction. So I think these are some of the challenges, or these are some of the things that we are seeing in everyday life, and we'll have to make adaptations and changes so that we can be more better as we progress.
True, true. That's absolutely true. And we as HRs also sometimes we tend to react rather than just think and then respond. Yeah. So that's where we need to check on. All right. So the next question goes to Shiv. So Shiv, what methods or tools do you use to simulate real world crisis in a training environment?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's not easy to. I mean, how do you teach crisis management, right? And I feel the best way is to have as much of experiential learning as possible, right? Where all your senses are involved in a situation, and you learn, right? Not just about how to retrieve your knowledge, but also your behavior, during that situation, right? So ideally, having fancy VR, AR solutions would be best, but we all know that they're not working. The science has still not caught up. It's still not feasible, right? But other than that, the fundamentals that we normally have in the training world, they would still work, right? I mean, change is a fact, but we also know that the more things change, the more they remain the same, right? So some of the fundamentals are still there, right? So you can, if you take crisis management, I recall how we did one such exercise to enable our project managers, right, to handle crises, right? I mean, so we taught them, we had some nice training for them. I mean, that was all well, but the real gain came when we provided them experiential learning in the form of a case, right? So we did it in two parts. The first part was we gave them a detailed case, right? And so they had, and we gave them ample time, and in many cases we also asked them to go out and seek help from their colleagues. Take 2 days, do whatever you can to make the best out of it, the time you have, right? So they worked on the case and they looked back at the training. They took an advice from their colleagues, and they had some nice responses prepared. So that was the first part. The second part was where we really put them straight into the fire. We had some really tough interviews that they had to go through. Seniors were pulled in pairs of twos and threes, and they would put the trainee in a room and the seniors to grill them, right? And that was really a pressure cooker situation, and with not much time to think, right? And new situations coming up thrown by the seniors, right? And at that moment, they learn firsthand, right? A lot of things, including what their training told them, the importance of preparation, right? The case study work that they did, right? And I felt that that worked really well, right? So in many situations, if you have time and if you have this kind of a two-step model, I would say would work to provide very good experiential learning. Another more practical example would be, say, fire drill or evacuation training. Right? There also we've seen. I mean, all of us have gone through it, right? And normally we see there are two kinds of trainings. One is boring ones. We don't even know what's happening. We just catch up with our friends, have a cup of tea, and forget all about it. Right? Go out, have a nice time outside in the garden, and then come back, right? Other is when you have a really good trainer, and that trainer would ask questions like, suppose you're in a cinema hall with your three friends, and suddenly there's a fire, and some debris falls on your friend, and he faints, and you're there in the smoke, and how will you carry your friend outside, right? And suddenly everybody's quiet, listening, what's happening. So that is a master trainer at work there, right? So second part, of course, is we have to equip our leaders and all of our trainers and make sure that they're really good in dealing and how to train their people in for such situations, right? Training, the trainers can't be everywhere, so our leaders need to be good trainers, good communicators. So that's another thing which really is required, for crisis management.
All
And
right.
that's my take.
Thank you, Shiv. Um, so, all right, the last question of the segment two goes to Megha. So, Megha, how do you ensure employees retain and apply crisis management training effectively in high stakes situations?
Um, well, the true measure of training success is its application in the real world, and especially in high stakes scenarios. So, retention happens when training is practical, interactive, and actually tied to their daily jobs. In my previous organization, when the senior leadership team was transitioning into actually, it was a change management setting. And when we introduced them with this concept, the focus of the entire program was on tactical empathy, decision making under stress, and to ensure that the training translated into action, we integrated role playing exercise for all these leaders and also introduced the concept of decision trees simulation, which actually mirrored real challenges these leaders face. All of them were left with framework they could immediately apply, and also that gave them a lot of clarity and confidence. Especially, it was happening very spontaneously, and they could apply it during those critical moments. Another approach I would say, honestly, as a participant myself, as an employee, and also from the perspective of learning and development professional, that a very effective approach is follow through. So I believe training doesn't end when the session is reinforced through checklists, quick references, guides, one-on-one coaching. I personally always encourage peer-to-peer discussions where employees share how they have implemented what they have learned. And in this ongoing engagement, what the employees are sharing within themselves, this solidifies the retention and ensure people are ready when the stakes are high.
But this sharing of ideas happens very rarely in today's corporates, I feel.
I feel that has to be facilitated, and the terrific moderator you are being, we have to have those hats sometimes coming out of that zone of a trainer and as a facilitators. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
That's the biggest buy-in for the LND. What we will show that how they have imparted those learnings and how they are implying these learnings.
True. Thank you, Megha. So that's the end of segment two. So now moving on to the segment three, which is leveraging technology for business continuity. So the first question goes to you, Megha, here. So how have digital learning platforms and tools helped your organization maintain learning continuity during a crisis?
So I feel this is my favorite question actually, because we know in what era we are, and after COVID, how things have changed, how learning has changed. So actually, digital learning platforms have been a game changer, and especially when traditional in-person methods were not possible, especially during the COVID times. And For me, especially if I talk about it, it is not only a means to deliver training, but it has become tools to reimagine how learning happens. During the shift to the remote work, now a lot of them are working in hybrid mode also. I leveraged platforms that offered these micro learning modules and also help to understand me how real-time analytics work. As a trainer, as a L&D professional, for me to gauge the performance and how the learning is taking place. So these platforms allowed employees to learn at their own pace while enabling me to track progress and engagement. And the most impactful features that I will talk about was the ability to create scenario-based learning, which helped employees also navigate challenges unique to their own. So we are not offering one medicine or one solution to everyone. It is not just like that. So beyond this continuity, digital tools also opened up opportunities for creativity. Uh, I have personally used gamified elements of these, like having leaderboards in place. Also, we have implemented rewards and recognition platforms, which helps me drive engagement, especially when the morale is low, little people are, they have that phase of demotivation sometimes. The feedback I had received is very good actually. And these initiatives don't just help me upskill, but also create a sense of connection and motivation. Because if they see that leaderboards are going up, someone is doing well, then how can I be behind? I also have to catch up. So that has always given them that sense of competition and also that childlike behavior coming up, which is always a win-win for me. What's important is how we use these tools to address the human side of learning. Because a lot of has been spoken about the digital learning, the AI taking up. So these platforms are just enablers, actually. The real value lies in how we design and deliver content that resonate with the employees and more importantly with the human side of it.
Brilliant, Megha. So, moving on to the next question, which goes to Shiv. What role does data analytics play in anticipating potential disruptions and shaping L&D strategies?
Okay. Wow, that's a difficult question, frankly. So data analytics, if you look from training point of view, well, how many real-time data analytics opportunities do we get to look at global signals? I'm not sure we get a lot of signals. We are quite inside the company. But yeah, there are sales people who are fronting, there are supply chain people who are fronting, there are hiring people who are fronting, who are talking to the outside world. They get a lot of signals, they have a lot of inputs, right? So I would say the what training team should be doing is be really good in requirements, finding out requirements elicitation. They should be really good, especially with whether it's during anticipating a crisis or post crisis, right? So for example, we asked normal questions, right? What are your pain points? What's happening in your world? We should put in new questions, right? Like what changed for you, like this is
Right.
different, right? So I remember once we had supply chain changed massively post COVID, right? And so my supply chain team leader told me that earlier customers were happy if we had what we are a manufacturing concern, right? So we also source components from other countries, from China and all, electronic components. So earlier customers were not bothered about not so much bothered about what kind of our sources are, so long as they are certified and all, right? But now customers were keen that there's a better mitigation of risk. So they were insisting that you should source from at least three different vendors from three different geographies for the same same component, right? From three different companies. So divide the workload into three. That's now the sourcing guy is now frustrated that suddenly there's a lot of complication in his normal work, right? So that so those can now that's an opportunity for us to help out, right? So we help them with better Excel skills and also problem solving models like I remember DAR. I don't know if you heard of DAR, decision analysis and resolution. So good, relevant interventions were possible because we asked the right questions. So that's important. Skill that every training professional needs to have. Right. That's one part. The other part would be like during a crisis, right? It's happening like COVID, right? It's happening at that time. You are doing training interventions. So what do analytics tell you, right? How can you leverage analytics, right? So again, to give you an example, we were doing fresher hiring. I mean, we're not one of the bigger companies, but still we hired around 300 people at one time entirely during COVID. And that itself was a big challenge to train. We have a 3-month program, training program, and to run it entirely online with a bunch of kids we have not even seen, right? So we were really dependent on analytics for a whole lot of information coming onto us, right? What is keeping the student engaged? Where are they turning off? What kind of self-paced learning works for them, right? So we learned a bunch of things, right? Behavioral skills work, but so long as the trainings are small. Technical skills work so long as we gave half-baked problems, right? So like if you have a code, don't give them to write code from scratch. That will not work, right? Give them half-baked code with bugs and ask them to solve. That will work, right? Because their attention span has gone for a 6, right? They're not able to focus, right? So that's the learning for us, and so we had to improvise at runtime, right? So a big learning was for our training team because we learned we have to be flexible. We cannot say, oh, I only teach this, or I just the only style I teach, I only do face to face. I mean, that's not going to work, right? So there's a lot of mindset shift which happened during that time. And yeah, lastly, we learned that people wanted to feel valued. So utilitarian programs, went up. So how to solve things, how to use Excel to solve things, how to use Word, and I mean, a lot of problem solving skills trains Word. Those needs went up. Lastly, also we learned that okay, disseminating training is not just through classroom sessions. We had to collaborate with a whole lot of departments. Every department wanted to educate, so we figured initially we thought that playbooks would help and detailed documents will help. Later on, we realized, oh, that doesn't help. The response is not good. Feedback is not good. Then we figured out animation works and tools like Powtoon and Animaker. And so we learned making small, we figured out that 90 seconds is the ideal duration. Anything more than that doesn't work. And sending heavy mails also doesn't help. So 90-second animations on small messages was really helping us. So I mean, I guess that's the message, right? So you had to be flexible and be open to putting a lot of data points, which can help you later on, right? So identify all possible data points and whether you think it's useful or not useful, put them. And when the data comes out, and it will tell you a lot of stories and will help you. And if you're flexible enough, right, you will be able to provide solutions.
All right. Thank you, Shiv. That was quite insightful. So the last question of this section goes to Joy. So, Joy, how do you balance the need for technology driven solutions with maintaining human connections in a crisis?
Yeah, so what is happening is the one thing that keeps on coming up to L&D professionals is you are biased. So this is a very, very common challenge that most of the L&D professionals face, that you just have to fill up your calendar and you are biased, you just want to do this. And it's very difficult for most of the times the L&D struggles to, find out an answer or find out a response to the same. So this is one part of this coin. The second part of the coin is like once the training is done, the question comes is what is the ROI? What is the return on investment? Like, does it make sense? Does it not make sense? So the training person will stand up and say, no, I have done my Kirkpatrick and see, these are the feedback and this. So what is happening is I'll go back to my original conversation where I'm saying that there's a constant, fight of questions and answers and questions and answers. Now here, what is happening is if you use technology, now how does technology help you? Because technology is giving, like I'll pick up from where Shiv left. So what does analysis give us? So, there's this common statement that we all of us use, that too much analysis should not give you paralysis. So we have to be very careful about that, if you analyze too much, it may not give you anything. And we are living in a world where there is lot of data and lot of information, but no knowledge. So I think the movement has to be towards knowledge creation. And if that is there, then the things becomes more important. And how does L&D come into this is, see, L&D has two roles to play. The first role that the L&D has to play is, first, understand what are the need of the organization. And I think most of the time L&D struggle in understanding that. So what happens with L&D is, uh, either the information that flows into L&D professional gets lost somewhere, or otherwise the communication that is there with L&D is not properly understood. It's like the Chinese whisper, what gets started up, but finally when it reaches down, it's completely different. So this is one part of the challenge. The second part of the challenge is, how well have you adapted to the changes and to the requirement that is there. So it may have started with something, but while you are delivering this program, the entire program's need, or the application of the same might have completely changed. So are you able to have that adaptability to shift into that? So these are the two aspects that every L&D profession has to keep in hand. And in today's world, it's becoming even more relevant, because where are we today? We are in a world where there is blended learning. So in this world, what is happening is, we all know people are die-hard fans of YouTube. So everybody wants to learn from YouTube. Everybody says that, why do I need to sit in a 2 hours training session? Full day training session is a curse. If you say anybody that you have to sit in a full day's training session in a classroom, it's a curse. They will say that I cannot sit inside a classroom for the full day. But at the same time, there would be people who would stand up and say that I would love to do a 7 day workshop. Now, where is that coming from? So the concept is, when there is a hunger to know and to create new knowledge streams in your mind, then you don't look at a timeline. Then you look at that, okay, I'm okay with whatever timeline is going to be required, and I'm okay with the engagement. What medium is being used is not important. So technology gives us those pointers. So A, it takes away the biases. B, it gives us a lot of insights in terms of what has really worked and what has not worked. Both it gives you. So what has really worked, you can focus on those. Things that have not worked, it's okay. You can actually start working that, okay, these things are not working. So what can be done so that these things starts working? I'll pick up one point which uh, mega race, and it was so valid that, not, it's not that everybody will have one kind of fitting. Everybody will have a different kind of fitting. So it's all about how tailored are those programs, and how well are you able to adapt to individual needs. And the main focus out over here should be is in terms of knowledge enhancement rather than anything. But most of the L&D programs in today's day fail because it is focused on data delivery and not knowledge enhancement. If it is knowledge enhancement, it will be a success. If it is only data delivery, it's just a laundry list. I have to tick mark, I have done this 8 exercises or 12 modules in 12 months, not going to help. And then you can add your Kirkpatrick's of the feedbacks of the world, not going to help. Because at the end of the day, people will say, oh, the food was very nice, training program, very good. But what did you learn from the training program? We don't know. The chole masala was very nice. What? So it doesn't help. So I think that the focus should be is, how are you able to build the knowledge? The knowledge quotient needs to improve, because that's where we are today. Technology is already there. Technologies, and each day technology is only going to be better and better. So it is important that we start using, which is here. To do that, I think the enhancement of knowledge becomes important rather than data and information, which is enough. Enough is there, but are you able to read through that? Trust me, let me give a scenario. Uh, Take a scenario where you are doing something for your finance guys, and you tell them, okay, I'm giving you a bunch of profit and loss statements. And can you tell me, can you decipher and tell me what is going to come out of this? How many of them would be able to pick it up, take a pen and paper, and give you a solution? half of them would possibly take that up and put it into chat GPT and say that, okay, give me the answer. But what is ChatGPT doing? ChatGPT is possibly making your life easier. But is that the purpose? The purpose is not. The purpose is, have you understood? ChatGPT will give you the answer, which is fine. Use it. Nobody stops you. But the question should be is, have you understood that? Like, in today's technology enhanced world, it should not be that your own thinking capability or your own knowledge capability stops, and that's where the L&D will play a big role, that your knowledge enhancement will be there. Yes, of course, tools are there, use it, that's there for your benefit, but then that free time that you get, utilize it for your knowledge enhancement.
Amazingly put across, Joy. All right, thank you so much, Joy. So that was the last question of segment 3. Now, moving on to the last section for today, which is post-crisis reflection and continuous improvement. So the first question goes to Megha. So Megha, what processes do you use to evaluate the effectiveness of L&D programs after a crisis?
So, evaluating the effectiveness of an L&D program is about understanding both the immediate and long-term impact. And I look at this process in 3 stages. What is the relevance, application, and the result? So, starting with the first thing, I ensure that the training addresses the right pain points by gathering participants' feedback, which is very necessary. And I would also try to shed some light on it currently when I am heading the regional learning and development department for healthcare global enterprises. It's into healthcare. We always look at the patient experience. We always look at that we are getting some sort of feedbacks. How is our employees at par with their services? Are they equipped with right kind of knowledge, skills, and everything? But what is most important for me as a L&D professional, as a change maker, as someone who's trying to bring that knowledge and skills to the employees as well, is also for them to understand that how practical and applicable it is for those employees as well. It is not just that we as L&Ds are telling you, you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right, ye sab karo, get that into your mind. You have to do this, do that. It's not a school. Even if we take a crisis preparedness session, I might ask employees how confident they feel in responding to a similar scenario, because we are just catalysts who are imparting the knowledge. But again, it is very important for the participants, for the learners to understand. The real evaluation of the effectiveness will come from their confidence. Second, I feel is the real world application. This is about my previous organization where I led a program on negotiation skills. And this was done for the sales team during a tough market phase. And what we were looking for was not just measuring the satisfaction scores of the clients, of the customers. We also tracked how negotiation success rates improved post training. That program was led by a very renowned sales coach, and we had a lot of assessments and follow through as well. This had a lot of confidence because we were able to track the tangible improvements in the outcome showed by the program's effectiveness. In that, uh, if I talk about the entire sales coaching, so no, only the crucial point for the entire team was on the negotiation skills. That I know what I'm doing, what my job is. I've been into this field for the past 20-25 years, but this is something which I really need to pull up my socks in, which is negotiation skills. So that was a very good response that we got, and also the tangible improvements what we were able to track. And finally, looking at the broader organizational impact, as Joy also said, a lot of metrics coming in when we are measuring that how effective, how long lasting, how practically applicable that program is. Then I feel metrics like team productivity, employee retention, customer satisfaction, these uh, kind of actually contribute a lot to the resilience and stability of the employee. What I have learned is that data tells one part of the story. It's always like that. But the other part comes from the employee story, what they share, that how the training helped them personally. I am XYZ who's doing XYZ job in a ABC organization, but I want to grow. I have to leverage my professional career. I have to grow, and training as a LND or as an employee, as a human being, I will say that upgrading my skills, contributing to my daily learnings will help me that personally. So evaluation is not a checkbox, it's a learning process. And I also see to this that every time when I'm making or creating my programs, refining them, and seeing to it that how my next program can be more impactful.
Thank you so much, Megha. The next question goes to Shiv. How to ensure that lessons learned during a crisis are integrated into future L&D strategies?
Yeah, that's important. Again, in the context of COVID, I mean, that's one example all of us are familiar with. Of course, we have got to be methodical about how we, learn find out all the lessons, right? There are the traditional means, the Kirkpatrick L2, L1, L2, L3, which tells us a lot about which programs are working, which programs are not working. But you should also be vulnerable enough to take honest surveys, from all the departments about how we help them. Reach out to all employees through surveys to find out what worked, what didn't work. That is important, I guess. And second thing is, now about learning and putting it into the, how do you make yourself future proof? One is, of course, crisis is a unique situation, but still there's a form and structure to you deal with it, right? So a training team also have learns a form and structure about dealing with crises. So you may have your own standard process, but have SOPs added on for unique situations like crises. Like in this particular situation, how do you deal with it? Earlier, I gave the example of fresher training completely online remotely, right? That was unique to us. Given a choice, we will not do it, but we had to do it, right? But now that required some, tuning to be done to the process. So what were those changes? You document them. So make sure that all the knowledge is not with the person, but in the system, right? So try to put in everything. So that's one thing, right? Look at your process and see what needs to change during crises. Second thing is, I mean, again, knowledge management in general, right? All the tacit knowledge that you have, try to dump it into a document as much as possible. So, which tools helped you? Which tools did not help you? Who are the people who helped within the company, outside the company? What kind of external content you have, you took in? Put in all the references into a document or bunch of documents, collect it. We have technology which can, help elicit summaries out of the whatever dump you put. So the technology is there now, so you don't have to worry about who will go through all that, right? So long as you collect all the information at one place, so that's very very important. Another thing would be, um, I would say that in terms of equipping, I would say looking at our training programs. So we have to be ready to change completely, right? What was not working in a crisis. Uh, Joy mentioned this book called Thinking Fast and Slow, right? Kahneman. I think there's a Correct me if I'm wrong, Joy, but the sunk cost fallacy, I think, comes from there, right? And so trainers have a lot of love for their content and their PPTs. They don't want to, discard them at all, right? I have put so much effort. No, I don't want to dump it, right? So, but yes, I think in crisis situations, you got to look at what worked and be practical and be ready to discard whatever your efforts were and start afresh. I remember during communication skills training, a lot of we realized that PPTs are not working so well, and a lot of group-based discussions, theme-based discussions were helping. So the trainer who was responsible had to make a fresh piece of plans for such kind of situations. That okay, we have remote training, right? So what all things to be done, right? Measure the baseline the current abilities, identify relevant themes which are of interest to that particular group, have group discussions happening, categorize the people, have variations of group discussions for each set of people. So, that trainer had to literally redo the entire thing for this particular situation. So yeah, that is a big difficult learning for the training professionals. But yes, be ready to discard, right? What works in normal situations and what works in crises, and try to mold yourself to that and apply. That's my take.
All right. Thank you so much, Chef. So I think the last question of today's discussion goes to Joy. So, Joy, what are some best practices the organization has adopted from past crises to enhance resilience and preparedness?
So actually, this question is something that we can go on forever because there are so many best practices and so many things that has been done across, and it keeps happening. So I'll just pick up maybe few of them and I'll share it with this audience here. So one of the big practices that has been picked up by many organizations is first try to appreciate what is there within. And I'll give an example here in the call itself. So if I ask all of you that do you know the book Ikigai, everybody will say yes, right? So because it's written by a Japanese author, it's there, it has got a nice cover, and everybody loves it. And yes, and everybody would proudly say, I do Ikigai. But let me ask you a follow-up question. Where do you think Ikigai came from? So most of the people will answer it came from Japan. Of course, that's right. I'm not saying that's wrong. But the concept is where is this, coming as a root from? And you'll be surprised, this root is from India. And this root is very much, and this is a little, maybe I'm taking a little different journey here. It's more spiritual, which says that what it talks is nothing but yatharth, which is a Sanskrit word. So that concept is basically yatharth. So that is there. So why am I giving this example is because most of the times it so happens is the best practice for you or your organization could be within yourself. So so that's I think that's one thing most organizations are following up. So I'll give my own organization's example. So we went through crisis, and when we started the journey in 2018, so the crisis was everybody was calling us a company which is a fraud company, chore company, paise le gayi, हमारे पैसे डूब गए. This is the picture that we had. From there, today, all the management schools are teaching that here is a company which has broken all records of IBC standards because we have paid 37% of the total debts. The market average is been at 30%. We have paid 37%, and we have capability of paying another 25 to 26%, which will take us to 61 to 62%. Now that's the story that has got changed. And this is the real, I would say, test of facing a crisis. So you had a crisis where people were kind of calling up names to you, to a situation where you are saying that I created something. I stood there and I paid back. So this is my company story. Let me give you an external company story also. We all know about the crisis that CCD faced. And I loved the interview in which this lady stood up and said that I'm here, my children are here, and we are not going anywhere. So trust us and we will pay you back. And we all know the story that that money has been paid to the creditors. We also know another intriguing story that comes from there, and that's the story of the new coffee chain which has come out. And that's why they are calling it the third wave. Now, many people may not know what is third wave. Why the third wave? Because the first wave of coffee chains was the baristas of the world. The second chain was the CCDs of the world, and now is the third wave. So that's the third wave. So where is the second best practice coming from? Is the second best practice coming from is how much are we doing towards our own self introspection? Like, one exercise that we do with, at least I do it with my team, and I'm sharing it with all of you, is do start this practice by which don't use any technology, don't use chat GPTs of the world, but try to write down or pen down your experiences in 1000 words. Try doing it. In fact, try doing the first example of write about yourself. We all write our resumes, right? But what do? We put our key skills, ask the chat GPT, okay, make a resume for me, and a resume, 4-page resume is ready for me. Easy. Yes, that can be done. But the question is, start doing your own skills by writing something about yourself, writing something about your company, writing something about what you learned, and you will be amazed by what is happening to you. This is one good practice. Now, why am I saying this? And you can Google it and you'll find out, because people trust Google more than God nowadays. So you can find it from there also, that once you start writing, so the neurons in your brain actually start getting activated, and that's a good practice. So these are some of the practices that we are following in our organizations, and I'm sure many organizations are also following up. The second best practice that I would like to share with this group is that it's not always important that we be ready for a crisis. It's okay, crisis may hit us, crisis may not hit us. But what's important is, do we have the confidence and do we have the skill set that is required so that we can face the consequences? So over here, I would like to leave everybody with a small skill set, or I would say a couplet for people. Now, what is that? That is, you need to have cash with you. But my cash starts with a K, because I'm highly inspired by Bollywood. So my cash doesn't start with C. My cash starts with a K. Now, what is this cash that one needs to have? It's very simple. K stands for my favorite. The K is knowledge. So that's most important. The A stands for your attitude, and you are born with it, you will live with it. So that's your attitude. S is something which is a new currency of the world today, and there is no getting away from that, and that is skills. And the last is H, which is most important, is habits. So many times, when I speak to Gen Zs and they say that, hey Joy, why are you forcing me to come at 9 o'clock or 9:30 to office and leave office at 6 o'clock? Why are you forcing me? So my response to them is, I'm not forcing you, but I'm just telling you, if you don't develop a habit, what will happen is possibly this will start reflecting in your own timelines. So where would it reflect you? If you have to deliver something to your client at 10 o'clock, you will say that, oh, okay, 10 o'clock, I'll give it at 10:30. So you may think that, no, that will not happen, but it will happen, because whatever is your practice, if you don't take that in your overall scheme of things, it will start impacting you. So I think these are some key takeaways. So I can go on this, but I would like to stop here, and I would also like to give the participants who are there on the call an opportunity to put across their questions, and I would love to answer them.
Thank you so much, Joe. I think the last two exercises that you had mentioned, I would certainly do that with my team at least, and let's see a difference there. So yeah, that's the end of today's discussion. Open to questions, or Thoral, if you're here, over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was an amazing session, I would say. The and the ideas, the experiences, the examples, and there are a lot of real-time cases shared. So thank you, all of you, all the speakers, and thanks Neha for moderating this session. I would request the participants, if anybody has questions, it's the platform available right now for you to write in the chat box, and we have our panelists to answer that. So please take the opportunity. If you have any questions, do mention. in the chat box, so they are there to answer them all. We have some question coming up. I have Pradeep here. He has written a question saying, how do you think the Indian market differs when it comes to crisis management compared to global trends? I request any of the panelists if you can take up this question.
Can I take
Over
this?
to you. Yes, sure, you can, surely.
Okay, first and foremost, Pradeep, thanks for putting this question. It's always a lot of courage to put the first question. So let me tell you with a little bit of a humor. In India, we live in a country of jugaad. So like, if you know that, so India is the only country which has the maximum number of jugaad and the maximum number of opportunities where you have kind of found of solutions which nobody could even think of. So that's of course the humor part of it. But then coming back to your question on a serious note, so the crisis management can be segregated into two parts. So one is a crisis management which is organizational led, and the second crisis management which is led due to geopolitical scenario. So the geopolitical scenario is where your question is focused towards, because the geopolitical scenario that each country, that's I would not restrict it to India and other countries, but it can be for any country. So the geopolitical scenario can be very different for each country, and they have to handle that situation depending upon is what you're facing. So that will be completely unique to that country, to that particular economic scenarios and how they tackle it. The second part is the organizational, or which was my first point. So in organizational crisis, the crisis don't really change because the crisis usually revolve around your people, and people skills or people issues or people challenges are usually the same. It's only the place might be different, but they all of them will have similar. So I have worked in multiple regions, so I can tell you. So the challenge that we face in India is that, I am working late hours and I don't have a work-life balance. While this is very much high in India, trust me, this is there in other places also. So only thing is the people-related matters or people-related issues or people-related crisis continue to be the same. In India, if let me take an other side view. The other side view is the aspiring candidates might say that there's not enough of opportunity for me. I don't get a chance to showcase my skills. I don't get a chance to aspire in my career. So while this is there for us, so it is also there in many parts of the world. So that crisis is also there. So I've given you a 360-degree of crisis that, it can be from the employer point of view. It can also be from the employee point of view. And the second aspect is, which is geopolitical, and the geopolitical scenario will be completely different from country to country. It's not specific to India and all other countries, because we cannot categorize them that this is Indian scenario and this is international scenario. Internationally would be distributed on each country. Each country or each place may have a different one. So people as well as geopolitical.
Thank you, Joy, for answering the question. I hope, Pradeep, it helps you with your question. Great. Anybody else? If you have any question, please put it right away. Okay, we have one more question. In today's world of viral messaging and reels, how do we create similar hype and excitement towards a learning or development program? Any AI tools you've been using or examples you may like to share? Anybody from the panel want to answer this?
I mean, that's a difficult one. I can try. I mean, and others feel free to add.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sure.
I think the fundamentals again don't change. If there's a need and you're addressing the need, people will come and see your content. Right. So yeah, of course, some things have changed. You can't have long form content. In text, you need to have smaller videos, but videos are not always the answer, as we realized. But what we realized were tools like Mentimeter, for example, which is a very sensible tool for judging, for getting a horde-based inputs from entire students remotely, getting insights. So that was very useful. And Now with new AI tools coming, we just have to be patient. That like we are all familiar with MS Word and Excel, right? And eventually, all the AI tools will come and get integrated into these tools, right? And right into our comfort zone. So we just have to be patient while that happens. Outside, yeah, there are a lot of tools, but right now there's too much flux. It's difficult to lock onto one tool which is good, right? We see a lot of generative AI tools coming up. Gemini is there, and ChatGPT, of course, is there. Yes, so you need to learn prompt engineering, right, to elicit the best out of these generative tools. But again, you got to be patient. Eventually, all these tools, AI tools, will get very well integrated into your day-to-day tools, what you use, and then they once they get embedded, they will give more sensible such advice to you, right? So AI at the end, I believe that it's going to help you be a better professional. So let's be optimistic about that and be patient about that. And that's my take.
Thanks,
I
Shiv.
want to add one point in this that I
Sure.
understand in today's time the attention span is getting very little. And that's also one of the reasons that the hype of the messaging and 10 seconds, 15 seconds reel where we can swipe up and down. We live in that age. And learning and development requires a lot of commitment. If you're committed towards learning and upscaling yourself, uh, tools like AI-driven tools can be used in gamifying. It can be a mode of engagement and activity-based. But as long as you're committed to that learning program, the traditional method, how it's going, that you're coming to the participants, because in India, we follow the concept of Vidyalaya, Pathshala, Gurushala. So if you're committed to that learning and development, you only have to focus on helping the training program, is what I believe. And then everyone will get along with you. I do
True.
that for me.
So one just comment I would like to add over here is what's important is while we see the reels and we see YouTubes and other things, I think question that needs to be asked is the person who made that has definitely dedicated a lot of time in creating it, and that's when you are seeing it and you're possibly liking it and staying on it. So that's the underlying statement. So and I love books, so I would like to leave another book here which people should definitely read. And in fact, I think slowly and steadily people are moving away from books, and that's really not a good sign, because then what is happening is you're not allowing your brain to function in its original format. So the book that I would refer here is Blink. So you should read it, and it will give you a lot of insights about what I'm trying to tell you. So simple example is recently we lost a maestro. We lost a tabla maestro just a few days back. So he's played some amazing tabla for so many years. But if today I say I want to play the tabla, will AI be helpful to me in playing the tabla? Possible, will give me the tunes, but can I play it with my hands? Question is no, because that will need riyaz and that will need practice for hours to get me to be like an ustad like Zakir Hussain was. So I think it's important to understand what you want to do. Like, do you want to just have fun, just have the sound of tabla, create some fusion music and just move on? Great, you have a lot of tools, go ahead and enjoy it. But if you really want to create your own music, so I don't think that there's a shortcut there. You have to constantly, I'll not take away the entire fun of reading the book, but then there's something called as 10,000 hours, and unfortunately time doesn't change. 1 hour is 60 minutes. So here I'm talking 10,000 hours. So you can do the math. So that's what is read it. So that doesn't happen with a reel, which is a 30-second or a 20-second, event.
Very true, very rightly said by all of our speakers. Yes, very true. You need to know where you need to use AI and in a right way. That's very important. So I think one more last question we can allow or entertain out. Anybody has any question you can ask, or else we'll wrap up for today's session. Anybody, any questions? If anything is there, you may ask. Okay. I think there is no question. So I would, I mean, so the last minute is always tough when you have to wrap up, and the knowledge what you were able to gain is going to stop now. Yes, but thank you, Nia, for moderating today's session, and a very big thank you to all our speakers, Shiv, Joy, and Megha, for sharing your invaluable insight and expertise today, and your contribution has immensely, I feel, impacted and to the current and relevant areas where they wanted, the light was required, and you really address the issues, and you have given certain solutions which are really helpful to all our audience. I'm very sure about it. I would also like to extend my gratitude to our audience for joining us and participating in this important discussion. Your questions also helped, and shared a lot of it gave ideas and strategies also to a lot of people to go back and high and think about it, how we can make learning even better. So thank you once again to our speakers, our moderators, and all who attended today. Stay connected, stay innovative, and have a great evening. And we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Till then, keep innovating, learning, and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Bye.
panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Toral.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.